So day 15 seen me wake up on the Yukon River. So after getting to bed at around about midnight on the river, the temperature continued to drop. And then as the temperature dropped, there was a little bit of wind, which kind of kept pushing through the small hole I had to breathe. And then it just kept making things colder and colder and more difficult. So I sat in there kind of shivering, really broken sleep. At one point I got up, grabbed my large jacket out, put that over my legs, and at least they sort of got warm. So I paid the price for not doing the preparation I should have done when I went to sleep. And then after sort of 4 or 5 hours, I was at the point where I was like, I just need to get up, get moving, because I'm not going to sleep here. I just need to get going. So I did everything I could to get ready inside my sleeping bag, because I knew once I went out, it was that cold, the clock was going to be ticking for frostbite, and I was already worried about my fingers. So did everything I could. It was probably around about minus 30, minus 35. Could have been even colder on the river. Got sorted, got up, raced to put everything away, put my big jacket on, got going as quick as I could. And then I was still not fast enough. I could still feel my hands getting cold as I sort of put my gloves on and got going. Started moving as quick as I could for as long as I could. It took forever for my hands to warm up. They just don't generate any heat, so I had to get my core body temperature right up so the heat would come down my arms and then sort of generate into my fingers. And eventually I got warmed up enough to get going. And then sort of later on down the road, I shot this short video. As you can see, I put my gloves straight back on. It was kind of punishing them, like my hands had to warm up again. I took the gloves off, hands had to warm up again, and it was just problems with battery because it was so cold. So sort of got through that, got through to the sun coming up, and I'd had a few caffeine tablets in my sleeping bag before I got up. So I pushed through till the sun came up. It was sort of still really cold, so the temperature didn't really improve much, and then I was out along the river, heading the last 16 miles or 25 kilometres towards Galena. So it was really tough going. The next video I shot was just, I was so fatigued because I hadn't slept all night. I was just really fatigued from walking so far on the back of a bad sleep. And I just literally wanted to fall into the side of the trail and go to sleep. Like a part of me didn't really care about the fact that it was so cold that would be a really bad idea. I just wanted to go to sleep. And this was kind of where my mind was just screaming at me to stop. It's like, just, we need to rest, we need to go to sleep. We need food. Because it was so cold, I hadn't really stopped to cook. I just kind of had a few snacks that I could eat, and they were still sort of frozen. So it was a really uncomfortable morning and just a really long day through to about lunchtime. But I knew if I entertained the idea of quitting or I stopped, that I'd regret it forever. So I knew that it was just a transient moment in time where my body was just tired, it was hungry, I just needed to rest. And once I got to Galena, got some food, got some rest, then I'd be fine. The next day I wouldn't have any problems. So I just had to ignore the negative self-talk, and I had an attitude where I wasn't going to entertain it. So I just turned it off. I went back to thinking about getting the task done or staying on task. So just moving forward at whatever pace I could get to, and eventually I'd get to the checkpoint, and from there I could reset, and the next day I'd be fine. I'd have different problems to worry about the next day. So just kept moving along the river. I was making okay time, sort of thing. So I knew that I wasn't going to entertain the idea of leaving, because I would remember that point forever. That would stay with me and haunt me forever if I decided to quit the race. So, and I knew that in 2 days' time, I would have forgotten about that experience on the river. And to be honest, up until reviewing the footage, I kind of had forgotten about it. So the level of mental fatigue I was in then, I can't really completely remember now. So that's past, sort of thing. So, and I knew it would. So continued moving on. It continued to stay cold along the river, and you can kind of see that I've got a few layers on. There's still ice. The breathing mask that I got had frozen up, so it was kind of pointless. It was just sitting around my chin. And then sort of as we got closer and closer, we could start to see Galena a couple of miles out. At this point, and you can just feel yourself feeling stronger and stronger. Like mentally you feel stronger, physically you feel stronger. You know you're close, you know you can just keep going. So just kept moving forward, and we sort of had been to the point where we could see the village for about 3 miles, and from 3 miles it's almost an hour. So we're just kind of moving closer and closer to this village in the distance. It doesn't seem to be getting any closer. Really keen to rest, and then eventually get there. So once we got there, we sort of got some directions to the bed and breakfast from a local, stopped and bought some supplies at the local market, went and had coffee at a coffee shop that was still open, had some food. From there went round to the bed and breakfast, and then just sorted out all our equipment. So rejigged everything, got everything out that needed drying, that had gotten wet the night before or had sweated in, not that I was sweating much. Filled up our water, had heaps of food, rehydrated, And then I was into bed really early because I knew I had another 50 miles or 80 kilometres to go to get to Nulato, which was the next village along the river, and I didn't want to bivvy again, so set everything up, into bed early, good night's sleep there, so I had a shower, everything sorted, head down, good night's sleep, ready to get up and sort of start heading towards sort of 1 to 2 in the morning. So long day, but it was good to get that period of the Yukon off and a really good learning experience.